So you're the dairy industry in the 1900s. Your business has been going fairly smooth as people have been consuming milk and dairy products to a great extent. And soon, World War I has started, and with it came the opportunity of a lifetime. It was the moment you've been waiting for. After the First World War started, the government started handing out condensed milk and cheese to soldiers to save space and to stuff as many calories as possible in food. So the demand for your products went through the roof overnight. During the First World War, US had sent over 1 million pounds of condensed milk to help its allies overseas. As all the milk and cheese you produced were directly purchased by the US government to feed soldiers, there wasn't much supply left for the existing market here in the US, so you gotta charge more. Your biggest customer is the government, so you were assured that you're gonna get paid handsomely no matter what. And with the little supply you had left, you were able to charge a premium for that, as there wasn't much milk to feed the citizens. But the war is gonna end soon, and suddenly there is no demand for your products. No one wants to drink the milk anymore. So what do to boost your sales? You go to your biggest ally, the government, of course. Due to the continuous purchase of dairy products by the US government, the farmers were hooked to keep producing more and more dairy to sell to the US government, as they knew the government would take it all. But now, the government didn't need it to feed the soldiers, but they also can't stop buying from the farmers as that would wildly hurt their business, so the government kept buying the dairy. But there's a problem. The government won't keep on buying if there's no demand for it, and you need to get rid of the milk as soon as possible, as it gets spoiled fairly quickly. So instead of hurting American farmers, why not encourage everyone to drink more milk and consume more dairy? And so it began, the great advertising campaigns of the milk industry. Welcome to Darkly. We make documentaries just like this on money, power, war, and crime. Subscribe for more. And this is how the dairy industry fooled you. See, despite the claims of milk being a superfood and essential for the human body, it is not that at all. The amount of calcium found in milk can easily be obtained more effectively through other various sources, such as almonds, nuts, and soy. But if the American people were to be aware of this, they would stop drinking it, and it would be bad for the business. Sure, it might be bad for the health of the public, but it's better than your business going under. So instead of asking farmers to stop producing excess milk, the government started a marketing campaign to make people drink more and more milk. Till now, milk was seen as a baby's drink, which adults weren't supposed to drink, but suddenly, drinking milk was cool and healthy. And to back this up, scientists from the USDA published scientific research from universities that proved that milk was in fact healthy and a necessity in your day-to-day life. But what they failed to mention, however, was that the dairy industry was funding this research, basically paying researchers to do research that benefited them the most. How convenient. But despite all the efforts, the dairy industry was slowly dying because of one new competitor in the market. Soft drinks, a new sugary drink that everyone loved. Soda is not like milk. It's fizzy, cold, and flavorful. Nothing like the usual boring milk. And everyone loved them. Sales were soaring for soda. Companies like Coca-Cola were spending millions in advertising. It was shown as something that was cool to drink, something that youngsters loved, and which was made specifically for them, unlike milk, which was mainly seen as a drink for babies. So the war was on. It was now the Coke cartel versus the milk cartel. But before the epic battle of marketing between both cartels began, a light at the end of the tunnel was shining for the dairy industry. None other than the beginning of World War II. So again, the government urged farmers to produce more and more cheese and dairy products to meet the demand. Times were great again, but as soon as the war was over, the government ended up with millions of pounds of cheese lying in their warehouses, and they started to freak out. Just like before, they didn't need as much cheese, and even the public didn't want it, so here we go again. This time was different, however. They knew they had to up their advertising game to the next level, or they would lose. And this is where, ladies and gentlemen, the Got Milk campaign was launched. Despite competition increasing from soda rivals, the dairy industry was slowly on the rise. The government quickly stepped in to get rid of all their excess cheese, reducing their supply. The government would literally hand out free cheese to poor households in the US and abroad to get them hooked. The government kept giving subsidies to the farmers to keep producing dairy and urged the public to keep drinking more and more milk. The research institutes, schools, colleges, doctors, everyone was just talking about one thing: drink milk. At this point, the government had literally allocated a $2 billion annual budget just to support the declining industry. But despite that, this was not helping the poor farmers who actually needed the support. It was the corporations who were gaining the most out of the government subsidies. The same corporations who were mistreating animals. The same corporations who were contributing significantly more to climate change than small farmers. But despite all this, the government simply ignored their malpractices. Some companies even managed to convince the government to officially declare dairy as part of the necessary daily diet and included it in the official USDA website. The companies which were benefiting the most out of the dairy consumption were given the task to curate a diet plan for the Americans, which included the dairy products. How convenient. Till the 1990s, dairy was everywhere, but milk demand was decreasing. The competition was too much. Cheese, on the other hand, was booming. When the government ran out of all the options to try to convince people to drink more milk, they went to fast food chains and convinced them to sell more cheese. And then came the era of pizzas and tacos that are literally loaded with 2 to 4 times extra cheese, and this became a major problem for the American people. You see, unlike other European countries, US cheese wasn't made as a result of thousands of years of traditional culture and research and development. No, this was pasteurized, processed American cheese, which was way different than the cheeses like Gouda or cheddar. While Italian and other European cheese were made as a result of labor-intensive processes, the American cheese were fairly fast to produce and cheaper to make. See, cheese is literally made by separating milk solids from the liquids and letting it ferment over several weeks or months in some cases. And because milk is produced for baby cows, it has growth hormones. But it's not needed to grow our bodies, so all the extra vitamins and minerals present in the milk are flushed out of your body by your liver. And if the body fails to do so, then we have situations like cancer, where our body has no control over growth cells. Many research has proven that dairy does more harm to us in ways we can't even imagine. The dairy is literally the #1 cause behind climate change, even leaving behind all the emissions from all the transports in the world, but we'll get to that soon. So this new American cheese is horrible for consumption, and despite the continuous effort from the government, the people don't want to drink any more milk. But the government still keeps funding the US dairy program because it directly supports over 1 million people, and surprisingly enough, these people have friends in higher places who are there because of generous donations from the industry. So literally no one has any incentive to cut their production. Even during the end of both world wars, farmers would never cut production despite the decline in demand. Instead, they would just produce the milk and throw it away to artificially drive up the prices. But this comes at a heavy cost. Cows are impregnated again and again so they keep producing milk, and due to continuous abuse, when they can't take it anymore, they are slaughtered or left to die. See, cows are grazing animals and they need their space, but more space means more costs, and if you are a dairy company, you would want your costs to be as low as possible. Even if it means hurting these animals, which eventually leads to poor quality production. Some researchers even found that milk from abused animals may contain pus, blood, or even fecal matter. So think again before you chug that bottle of milk. Remember when I said cows were the #1 cause of climate change? See, cows burp and fart a lot, and when they do, they produce methane gas, which is horrible for the environment. It is literally more than 30 times more harmful than carbon dioxide. So dairy is produced without the demand for it, meaning you'll need more cows. And if there are lots of cows, then more methane is being pumped into the atmosphere. How great! Fortunately, people are waking up. The dairy industry has been declining for many years now. Soon enough, the government is gonna catch up and let free market economics decide the price of milk instead of those government subsidies that are paid for by the US taxpayers. You who doesn't even want to drink milk in the first place. And that's a wrap. There you go. The uncovered story of the dairy industry. This video took months to create. Tons of time went into researching the story of all this. I'm going to keep doing this, exposing businesses and corrupt governments. If you're still here, it clearly means you like to watch these documentaries, so subscribe for more, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.